welcome to the last video of my rookie recap for 2024 where we cover supports. These players were given rookie status because they've not played at least half of a regular season split in a Tier 1 region prior to this past year, as well as the fact that some may still not have done it. Like in the case of Moham, he's played a couple of years, but actually bits and pieces of seasons, and this year actually didn't play half of the regular season summer split for D plus Kia either, although he did end up playing for them for playoffs, regular regional finals, and then Worlds. To me, still will keep rookie status going into next year. But nevertheless, these are those that were rookies. A couple others aren't on the list because they only played a couple games. But nevertheless, we have Alvaro from Mad Lions Koi, Vampire, who played with EDG and IG, Palu, who played for Brion, Duro for Fear X, Niket for Ultra Prime, Moham for D plus Kia, Isles for Dignitas, Zolis for Rogue, Luan, SK Gaming, and Quantum, who played with the Kwangdong Freaks. So let's go over some of these interesting stats. Palu, youngest player on the board, 18 years old. I take back a little bit of what I said yesterday. I mean, Samver has work cut out for him alongside Palu, but Palu has his work cut out for him as well, being stuck on that tire fire that is Brion and playing at 18 years old. People establishing, like I kind of did yesterday, and I acknowledge it, and am saying that I should not have until I got a better grasp of what Palu had for a resume prior to that opportunity with Brion, but nevertheless, 18 years old, 101 games played prior to that. I mean, he's going to struggle. That's going to happen. Vampire, very young, 19 years old, 0 games of experience at a Tier 2 level in the LDL. So he deserved a lot of grace with EDG last year. We saw EDG was a disaster, and then he gets sent over to IG, and IG is going through disaster mode themselves. So the fact of the matter is, neither player really got an opportunity to succeed. And in part, I mean, hell, that's why their win rates are 35% and 22% last year, respectively. I mean, what did we really expect? Now, on this board, we have two players that went to Worlds in Alvaro and Moham. Mad Lions Koi ended up with a 45% win rate throughout the year, and Moham had a 51%. Luan, 58% for SK Gaming, a player that was imported in summer, and played all of summer playoffs, and season finals with SK alongside Rahel, and we went over him yesterday. But he was 21 years old. For his debut, Isles is the oldest, 23. And Isles has had quite a career. He played in Oceania. He is an Australian. I believe he's Australian, and not from New Zealand, but either way. 144 games of Tier 2 experience, 63 games of OS experience, 6 LCS games prior to this year, and 8 international games. Yes, he went to Worlds for OS 1 year, so keep that in mind. But 23 years old, and this was his first opportunity to play a full season, or at least a full split, with a Tier 1 organization, and it was all season with Dignitas playing alongside Tomo and then Sven. Moham, like I said, 67 games of experience below Tier 1, but 39 games with the Freaks prior to this year with D plus Kia. So he has quite a bit of experience over a couple of years. Duro, 204 games, as well as Niket at a Tier 2 level before this year. I thought Duro played pretty damn good. I wonder how well Fear X could have done if Duro had played the entire season with Fear X, but however, it does help Diable. Diable is a very, very good prospect down in Challengers, so giving him Duro for a while was probably for the best. Niket, I thought, looked excellent with Ultra Prime alongside Doggo. Sorry about that. Thought I heard a knock on the door. So Niket, playing with Ultra Prime in summer, I thought, honestly, alongside Doggo, he was pretty damn good. Aggressive. Their 2v2 at times was a problem for teams that honestly were probably better than them on paper. So I am interested to see what he does in 2025. I do believe he deserves an opportunity maybe as a budget option for a pretty damn good team. And he could surprise a lot of people. At 20 years old, I thought, honestly, given how his team was and how bad it was, he played pretty damn good. And I mean, Alvaro is a player that going into this year, I had high hopes for. I identified him and Mirwin as two players that definitely deserve this opportunity and could get mad, could further their careers beyond this year. And of course, Mad Lions did much better than I had anticipated. But either way, Alvaro, excellent player, 112 games of experience before, this year. KDA wise, I mean, everybody is going to die a lot when you're a support. I know one time on the Discord we had a short discussion about supports dying, and the expectation is that they die. If somebody's going to die in a game, it's going to be the support because they're the ones that go in. You'd prefer them not to die. Expectation is that if somebody will, it is them, but the preference is for them not to. So, Luan 1.9, he had the best KDA. Niket 1.5. Now Zoli's and Quantum below 1, and 24 and 29% win rates. Not a big shock, right? Because those teams kind of stunk. I thought Zoli's would be a decent player this year, but Rogue altogether was a disaster. For what Marcoon is as a player, for that team to play the way it did made absolutely no sense to me, and I don't know what happened with that. Like, Marcoon, facilitator-wise, I thought was a pretty damn good player at making things happen, and in spring, they were a fucking disaster. And it didn't make any sense to me why he was so passive. Now the team just continued to struggle, and with rumors of them selling and this, that, and the third. But either way, I don't really want to blame Zoli's for that. Kill participation. Who is involved? Which support is getting around and making things happen? Vampire, 3 out of every 4 kills. Niket, 3 out of every 4 kills. Isles as well. Luan. So those 4 very active, making shit happen. Lower end of things, Palu 70%, Duro only 2 out of every 3 kills, Zoli's 2 out of every 3. That's going to happen. If your team's fighting elsewhere. In the case of Zoli's, not much was happening for Rogue, so that's not a big shock. Duro, Clear, a big part of their team's success in summer, so Clear's probably making things happen at the top side of the Rift. Closer, very high resource, so maybe they're fighting more around him than the bot lane, would make sense. Closer is better than Henna. Return on investment, damage divided by gold. Quantum was really high over 1 because he played most of his 14 games in spring. And spring was a meta where Nico and Ashe was a thing, and he actually was dealing damage. And then we saw in summer how that would change, and that supports took on more of a facilitator role as the year went along. So a lot of 0.7s, 0.6s, lower end of things though. Duro 0.54, more traditional in terms of support. Niket 0.59, but Isles 0.78, Alvaro 0.72, so a little more aggressive, finding opportunities to get their shots in. Vision efficiency, I think this is kind of an important stat as well. I know Ashe can affect this, so keep that in mind, but nevertheless, vision efficiency, that is a support's job. How efficient are you with your wards, right? Are you putting wards down and getting something out of them? Most people around 0.9, 0.8. We do see Niket 1.75, so a little lower than the others. Vampire, Niket we can put up on there because summer. So LPL in summer gave us vision stats, but not in spring. So throughout this whole series, I didn't include vision stats for LPL players that didn't play that did play in spring because it completely messes up the sample, right? I can include 80 games, but then say for 40 of these games, this was his vision efficiency. Just not something I really want to go through. Win rate wise, like I said, to start it off, Moham and Luan, positive win rates. So that run by Moham going 8-2 really made people, like all the Kellen haters, feel really vindicated. But Kellen is better than Moham. I think that's without a doubt. Now, can Kellen shot call? That's another problem in and of itself. And it's a problem with D+ in general. Canyon couldn't do it the year before, and Canyon's possibly the greatest jungler of all time. So the fact of the matter is, blaming Kellen is just an easy way to kind of just find somebody to blame when you have veterans like Canyon and Showmaker on that team. And there are players in those two roles around League of Legends esports, especially in the jungle role, that shot call. And then there are very high, reputable mid laners, Faker is one, of course. But there are others that shot call from the mid lane. So Showmakers should not be absolved either. I just feel like people like to blame Kellen for that. And so Moham playing alongside Aiming, who, in my opinion, was the LCK Summer MVP easily. Um, it's no shock that Moham was good alongside him because Kellen was good alongside him as well. Kellen's been one of the better supports the last few years in the LCK, in my opinion. So Moham does his job. He's a rookie still. And I mean, he needs more games. The problem with Moham is he needs more games. We're looking here 67 games played at a tier 2 level for a guy that's been playing for years. Like, he's spending too much time splitting scrims and not enough time playing stage games in the end. I mean, now stage games aren't the end all be all because we can say, oh, well, Zoli's played 129 games and look at his stats. But the fact is, you do need some games. You're not going to get better by not playing. Quantum, 63 games. I mean, the Freaks are a disaster. So, I mean, it's kind of funny, right? A lot of these teams are pretty bad that had rookie supports. Like, Mad got to the playoffs, but SK had to swap out their bot lane duo outright, and, I mean, had a pretty good one because they brought in 2 Korean import players, and Rahel was a major region talent. But Quantum, KDF, a disappointment. Somebody today in my comment section, it was it Gerb? Might have been Gerb talking about Leaper and saying that, he hopes the Freaks do well this year because that is a yearly thing, right? We're waiting for the Freaks to finally do decent, but not very good, right? Bulldog and Doodoo, very, very talented. Cuz should be better, but the Freaks just don't get it done. SK swapping out bot lane. Rogue were bad. Dignitas, I mean, summer was better than spring, but spring was very bad. Ultra Prime, suck. Sucked. Sorry, this is all past tense because the teams can change. Fearax, I mean, middle of the road. LCK team. Brion, team I definitely don't like. Vampire on EDG, they sucked. IG, not much better. So a lot of these guys kind of got dealt a pretty bad hand. And at the support role, you can only do so much. Now, a support can make the difference, in my opinion, a very big difference in making things happen and efficiently getting vision and things of that nature. But at the same time, if you don't have the players to take advantage of that great vision or hey, you set up a play, but is there follow-up? Without it, it doesn't make a difference. And a lot of these teams had that going on. So, Alvaro gets a lot of the credit because he was on a team with players capable of doing it. Supa is capable of doing it. He's aggressive enough to follow up on that play and ensure that something comes of it. So, where Niket, I think, with Doggo kind of showed that, but the rest of his team, I mean, Hacker, Yukai, and Qingtian, I mean, it is what it is. I honestly, I think Niket deserves a lot more praise, and Palu as well, when we really take into account how bad that situation was for him. So, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.